So it's been 9 months now since I first got my hands on the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3, Samsung's latest foldable, flippable smartphone. In this video, I want to talk to you about some of the new experiences I've had with Samsung's foldable phone over the past 9 months, show you how it has held up from a durability standpoint, explain how it fits into my real-life day-to-day use case, and lastly find out whether or not I can personally recommend the Z Flip 3 to those of you who may be interested in getting one. So let's get started. Starting with the price. At the time of this video, the Galaxy Z Flip 3 still retails for its original $1,000 price tag, but Samsung is almost always offering some sort of promotion or discount. At the time of this recording, it appears they are offering a $50 instant Samsung credit and a $50 Google Play promotional balance, and of course their usual trade-in incentives and things like that. So I'll leave some links down in the description if you want to check those out for yourself whenever you may be watching this video. But what is it that makes the Z Flip 3 so exciting to begin with? For me personally, the most exciting thing about this phone is that obviously it folds in half, but just the way it fits into your personal life so much better and so much easier because of that compact form factor, while also not sacrificing too many flagship phone features, which both things combined, having a foldable phone in addition to very good specs, overall makes this a very enjoyable experience. But how has the durability been on this phone in the past 9 months? I personally do not have any scratches, as far as I know, on this inner display. Foldable displays have almost been more durable in a sense that they are more often than not protected from the elements because it's only open and exposed when you are actually using the phone. As far as the outer display here, I do have a case on this Z Flip 3. No issues on that outer display either. And the other huge durability point for me on this Z Flip 3 is that compared to the previous generation, we now have water resistance on this phone, which I think for these foldable phones is super important. As a result, now for the past 9 months, I've been able to daily drive this phone comfortably compared to the last generation. It just matches how this phone is going to be used. It's very compact. You're taking it on the go. It's always in your hand out and about just because it's easier to hold than a conventional smartphone. On the top here, we have a nice aluminum hinge, and I don't have any scratches on this guy either. So overall, durability, I am super impressed with this little guy. But you might be thinking to yourself, okay, Shane, so it's a durable phone, it's compact, but what is the weight and what's the thickness like of it, since it's essentially two phones stacked on top of each other when it's folded in half, and surely this extra hinge and other folding mechanisms in the phone is going to add to the weight significantly. But to be completely honest, the weight and the thickness have never been an issue for me. The weight comes in at 183 grams, which is definitely lighter than something like the Galaxy Z Fold 3, in addition to something even like the Galaxy S22 Ultra. This has a decently lighter weight to it, and then the thickness of it, for me personally, has not been an issue either. In fact, when the phone is opened up, it's only 6.9 millimeters in thickness. For a point of comparison, the S22 Ultra, it comes in at 8.9 millimeters of thickness. All things considered, it is a perfect combination of not too heavy and still compact enough when folded in half. But how is the actual daily user experience with a phone like this? What does the actual day-to-day use case look like? For me personally, I have thoroughly enjoyed using this phone as a daily driver over the past 9 months. It's just so easy to just grab this phone, pick it up, and when I go on walks and things, this is what I do. I just hold the phone in the palm of my hand like this just because I have fingers on all corners of the phone. I know I'm not going to drop it compared to something like the S22 Ultra. I just feel like there's always a chance you could bump it on something or it could just fall out of your hand somehow. That is literally never a worry or concern on this Z Flip 3. But then in addition to having that very nice compact form factor and it just molding into your daily life so easily and so well, you also have a very good smartphone experience to go with it, which I think is what makes this such an interesting product to begin with and why it is something that I have stuck with for so long at this point. We have a 6 6.7-inch 1080p 120Hz AMOLED display. I absolutely love that we have 120Hz. Having that high refresh rate for me personally is just something that is a must-have on any new phone up to this point. It is so nice to have a loud dual speaker setup. You can listen to music while this phone is folded up. It is just as loud, even though the top speaker is kind of covered a little bit. The dual speaker experience and the overall display has just been phenomenal for me. And a big selling point too for this phone, for me to be completely honest, is the processor that is inside of this phone. The processor that is found inside of the S21 Ultra, it's here in the Z Flip 3. As far as performance goes, I have not had really any hiccups on this phone in my past 9 months of usage. Whatever it is you want to do on this phone, you are not going to have any problems with it. Now, is this a good phone for gaming? Because you do have the 120Hz refresh rate, you have good speakers, you have a good display, you have all the aspects here that would be good for something more intensive like gaming. And I do actually game a decent amount on this phone. For me personally, I will sometimes log into old school RuneScape. This does run at 120Hz. And you have a large enough display for sure to be able to press small certain things on the screen. It's just that you might not have as an enjoyable of an experience due to just a slightly more narrow display compared to your conventional smartphone. So S22 Ultra on the left, 6.9-inch display. You can see how much more narrow the phone is. So I feel like it kind of limits some of your use cases. Watching YouTube and watching content, it's honestly not as enjoyable as it is on something like my S22 Ultra. There is a lot of black bar action going on the left and right. It's not my first device I reach for if I want to really sit down and watch some YouTube, but in a pinch for just basic smartphone use, I think it honestly gets the job done. And also something that I feel will be mentioned for the rest of time in every foldable phone video is the crease. So we have the crease in the middle here, but what I have to tell you guys is that when you're looking at the phone straight on, just like that, you can see that the crease honestly disappears in your regular use. When you're outdoors, you will notice the crease a lot more. If direct sunlight is on that screen, you will see that crease there. But in your regular average day-to-day use, this is what it's going to look like. And for me personally, you forget that the crease is there aside from slightly feeling it on the display. And really, it's not a deal breaker at all by any means. So don't think that that's the reason why you should hold back from getting a phone like this. And one of my favorite features that comes on any smartphone is packed here on the Flip 3. That is the side fingerprint sensor. I wish every phone had this. It is seriously the easiest way to get into your phone. It's just so quick, so easy, and so convenient that I found that I can get into this phone just as quick as any other phone. It's subconscious at this point. My thumb just drops right on that fingerprint sensor. You flip it open. You can open this phone with 2 hands if you want to. A lot of times it's easier just to do it with 1 hand. So really happy, again, with the compact form factor. Great smartphone experience. Nice quality of life things like the side fingerprint sensor. But of course, with all those positives, there are a few negatives to this phone that I've experienced and dealt with. Of course, the biggest downside of this phone is the battery life. Now, I must say, if you are an average user, if you just are using your phone for basic smartphone tasks, this phone will last you through the day. You're going to be at a very low percentage at the end of every day, but it is at least going to get you through the day. You're going to get about 4 to 4.5 hours of battery life on this phone. I know that's literally half of what the S22 Ultra can get you. And in addition to that lower battery life, we still only have 15-watt charging. And it's just very disappointing for me personally. It'd be nice to just quickly charge back up instead of being worried about 1, the battery life being short, but then 2, the charging not being as fast on the other end either. But the one thing I do love from a charging perspective of this phone is the wireless charging. I know, again, it might be a little thing, but there's just something to be said about always putting this on the charger and it just always charges. On some larger phones like this where I'm putting it on the pad and it just slightly misses it or something, I know that was for the sake of the video that I missed it. I would probably be able to get it if I take the time to, okay, I'm going to line it up exactly in the center and then place it on. Hopefully that works. Looks like I still didn't get it. So that just goes to show that you put this on the charger and it's charging 100% of the time. Now, before I forget, we also have this outer display that I haven't even talked about yet in this video. It's not something that I'm always going to and always using just because it is smaller. and it is so easy to just jump into the main display. But the outer display does actually have some pretty good uses. Over here to the left, we have our notifications, so you can read texts from this. You can read all sorts of kinds of things from this if you want to. And then on the right, you have your different widgets. But something that is very interesting about this outer display is that you can download an application called Samsprung. This is a little bit finicky. It's not perfect, but you can access literally any application on your phone on this outer display. I can actually play old school RuneScape on this outer display. So it's going to be kind of tough for the video's sake here, but you can see that you can fully play a game here on this inner display. If you do need to do something a little more close or a little more intensive, then you can just open it right up and you are right into the game. Now, the final thing I need to touch on with the Z Flip 3 are the cameras. So we have a dual camera setup here. We have a primary lens and an ultra wide lens. And I found in my everyday use that these are very good cameras. So because this phone is portable, lightweight, easy to open and access, I find myself actually doing a lot of pictures and videos on this phone overall, and it's very enjoyable to hold because it's not as wide. It's very easy, just at a moment's notice, just open up, double press, and you are right into the action. Personally, I think they should add a third lens like they have on the Z Fold 3 that gives you at least a 2x zoom or 3x optical zoom. But for the average user, I really don't see any problems with the camera. It's been very enjoyable for me personally. Overall, I can highly recommend this Z Flip 3. I feel like these foldable phones are seriously underrated right now. I think it's just simply because the prices are so high. It's hard for people to get their hands on these foldable devices and experience them. Even though I love how premium these devices are, I hope that Samsung finds a way in the coming years to bring out a more affordable foldable phone so that more people can experience this form factor. In my personal use case, it has definitely gotten the job done. And I think if you're interested in a phone like this, I think it'll get the job done for you too. But what are your thoughts on the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3? I'm curious to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up. And I hope to see you guys around for the next video that I'm going to be putting out tomorrow on the Z Fold 3 after 9 months of usage. I've been using both of these phones on and off over the past 9 months, and lots of interesting perspectives that I want to share with you guys. So I'll also have that video linked here if you want to check it out. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.